introduce myself also? Okay, very good. So my name is Yolanda Lorch, and I'm the president of Grupo Latinoamericano. It's a service organization we founded 29 years ago. Everybody there functions as a volunteer. So, I mean, we have a board of directors, but and all of our services are for free of charge, and given in a volunteer manner. And when we first founded the organization, we were not, activists or anything like that. But because it was just serving the immigrant community in this area, most of our programs are obviously educational. We offer free English classes, citizenship classes, etc. But with the years, we noticed so much misinformation about who we are, and certainly about the immigration issue. So then we started speaking up, well, at least myself, for years. And if you don't, some of you don't know this theme here is going to be about DACA and immigration, because I understand that some of the other panels that were canceled or something, so you're stuck with me. Okay. So, I am always amazed, surprised, because I'm also an immigrant. I came to the United States when I was 21. Marriage. I met my husband in Mexico, so he was a missionary there. But anyway, and so, and I didn't speak English, okay? And so the thing that amazes me more is that being a country of immigrants, how little the population, Americans, know about immigration issues, laws, and systems. I'm always amazed. So anyway, so that's why we need to talk about this today. Immigration laws are one of the most complex laws in the United States. Not only they are very complex, but they keep changing. It's hard to keep up with all the changes. And so maybe that's why many people, say things like, well, why don't they just come here like my ancestors came, legally? They still think that this is Ellis Island. Ellis Island is not a museum, okay? That system is not in existence anymore. So, and there are many, many ways of coming here legally, hundreds of different visas, permits, and so forth. And when I hear people, saying, because it's not only anti-immigrants who are misinformed, it's also people who are pro-immigration and want to help and all that. When I hear things like, well, it's very expensive to come here legally and it takes a long time. So then what do you think? That these people don't want to take the time and they want it for free or something? It is true. It is very expensive, and it takes a long time and so forth. But only for those that are eligible to come here. Most of those people who are here, certainly the ones who don't have any money at their country of origin and titles and so forth, those that are here, and they are not, of course, they cannot get the Einstein visa like Mrs. Trump got, okay? For those people, there is no line. There's no category for those people. Really, there is not. You have to prove so many things, but more than anything, income and professions and so forth, okay? So even to come here as a visitor with a tourist visa, it's expensive. And they do all kinds of backgrounds, For my family to come and visit me, and if they are in a certain age, the young people, even though they can prove that they have the income, that they're in college, or they are working, whatever, sometimes they don't even look at their documents. They are denied. But just the application, not the visa, the application is expensive. And when you are denied, they don't return your money. It's not refundable. So they get all that money in the American embassy and consulates from Mexicans who wanted to come and visit, and didn't get the permission. So that's just to begin with, okay? And then, of course, there's going to be legislators, senators, Congress people that wanted to do an immigration reform. But many times what happens is that people, when they hear that, they think it's amnesty for illegals, as they call them. And immigration reform is not that. It's about changing some laws that don't make sense anymore. Like people who come here with a student visa and then they get a master or a PhDs or whatever, and they want to work here and stay. There's only so many, and it's very hard. Or people who want to, who can really, or for people who are like my siblings, or if they want, none of them want to, okay, in my case, but if they wanted to. And they cannot, it's to make more room for those people. For instance, one of the ways that you can apply for residency is through family, okay? I'm a citizen. I could apply for my husband if he were not, for my children. For my children if they are minors, okay? And I could also apply for my siblings, not cousins, aunts, all that. Well, it depends on where you're coming from, what country, like China, the Philippines, India, and Mexico, because it's by numbers. They have quotas, okay? So for siblings, someone from Mexico takes from 15 to 20 years to give them the permission to come. Right, okay? Spouses, children, it's, because you only have one spouse, it's a shorter time, 5 years or so. But anyway, so it's that way, okay? I have some people that have been waiting for 20 years for their sister or their brother to be here. So that is immigration reform, okay? And many other things that just don't make sense anymore. And for instance, we have the same amount of quota for countries like Mexico, 125 million population next door, and like a country from Switzerland, 6 million or something, the same quota, okay? Who from Switzerland wants to come anymore? Or Sweden? I know, for specific reasons, not for whatever, right? Okay, and how many relatives did you have here in the States?
None, but it took 2 years to get my parents here when they were in their 80s.
Right.
And my dad had worked in the Swiss embassy.
2 years because he was from Switzerland.
Such a mess.
Right.
They were a disaster.
Because he was from Switzerland. So anyway, but like in the case of Mexicans, 7 of our states used to belong to Mexico. So like they said, many Mexicans didn't cross the border crossed them. But in those cases, it means they have relatives here, ancestors here. So it's, family reunification in many cases. So that's to begin with. So people who had, fought for immigration reform, or in 2013, the 8 senators from both parties, and it didn't pass Congress. Okay, so it was going to be things like that, with a lot of conditions, of course. And the DREAM Act would be for the youth, those people who came here, now the DACA recipients now, who came here as children. They brought them, they didn't come by themselves, they brought them as children, they've been raised here and so forth. So the DREAM Act was going to be to give them legal residency. It didn't pass either. So then that's when President Obama decided to do an executive order, for DACA, which is what offers those same people who are eligible, because it's not only how long you have been here or how old you were when you were brought here and many other things. They have to be eligible, so they have to have a completely clean record on everything. Never been back to the country of origin, never had anything with the police. Minor in possession, let alone DWI, anything to do with alcohol, then you're not eligible. So things like that. And so because it was an executive order, it didn't need approval from Congress, like so many other executive orders. By the way, President Trump so far has been more than 50 executive orders. Okay, so when he said, well, no deal with DACA, then there's no more DACA because I cannot deal with Congress or this or that, or they don't want to give me he didn't have to do that. He didn't need approval from Congress. He didn't need to do and he stopped it anyway. He could have just continued it. He didn't need to have permission for anything. He could have just continued it. So with DACA, is a deferred action, okay, for children. What it gives them.
I wanted to ask a question because many of these that are involved in this situation have been there for many years, and they've grown up here, and they have jobs and occupations. All right, is it the states that are making the rules that they cannot even apply for citizenship? Many of these situations would be resolved if they were U.S. citizens. What has delayed the ones that have been here so long not being able to apply for citizenship?
This is federal law, so the states cannot do anything about it. They can do some things, but not for them to make it easier for them to. And some people think that you go from being undocumented to citizenship. No, you go from undocumented to some kind of permit, temporal permit, and then you apply for what they call permanent residency, legal residency. And then after that, you are eligible, after 5 years, you're eligible for citizenship if you pass so many other, conditions and so forth. So it's not giving people citizenship if they're gonna come to the United States or they're already lived here and give them citizenship. No, you have to go through other stages first. So, and it's not a state law, it's federal. So it has to come from Washington, D.C. And so with DACA, what they got was a 2-year work permit. And in order for them to go to college and to work, they need a Social Security card. And their this is one I just filled out. This is a renewal. They are not taking any new ones, okay? This is renewal. Only because those 2 federal judges ordered it. Because he had stopped everything, even renewals, for people who were already eligible and applied for it and got the permit, because not everybody received the permit, okay? So anyway, and the Social Security card says valid for work only with DHS, Department of Homeland Security, authorization, okay? The Social Security. And the work permit is a 2-year. So with this, they can go to college. Now, the state of Missouri decided that, okay, so they can go to college. Because before that, they couldn't because they don't have a Social Security number, a Social Security card. They couldn't. Well, okay, we'll go to college because it was ordered by, federal. But they're going to have to pay out-of-state tuition. And they are not going to be eligible for any grants, for any scholarships, for, nothing. Nothing. They had to pay all that. So, and they're going. In this case, he's going to Drury. Okay, this young man. So that's the situation with DACA. They are not eligible for anything else, only to work and go to school. Undocumented children are free to go to school from K to 12 since 1985. Okay, but after that, they cannot. And in that case is the case of some colleges and states that if they allow them to go or not, okay? That is state as far as colleges and so forth. So, and when you think of DACA, what population do you think of? DACA recipients? Latinos, uh-huh. I got this from the U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services, the numbers of the DACA, the different countries. 145 different countries applied for them. And then it says we only have the others, and those are the ones who are granted DACA. But then they have other countries that didn't mention because there's not like enough numbers, and those who applied but were not available, but were not, eligible for that. And they don't have the numbers, the countries for 1,800 people. So the total numbers for those, like I said, 145 countries. I mean, countries like South Korea, Poland, Canada, United Kingdom, sorry, as far as Mongolia, and so forth, 140. That many countries. But we make it an issue of Mexicans or Central Americans, right? We make it always. Every time we think about undocumented, we think of that. That means their parents are here undocumented from Canada, United Kingdom. Okay, they're here undocumented because we always think about the border, the Mexican border, of course, not Canadian border, the Mexican border, and how we're going to stop them and all that. All these people didn't cross the Mexican border. Even some Mexicans, because we help them, Grupo Latinoamericano, we help them fill out the forms. We had people from USCIS come and give us, a workshop, how to do it, who's eligible, who's not, and all that. And so we helped those people, hundreds, because it was the whole Southwest Missouri. Anyway, and there were some who were brought here as children, very small, but with a visa. They came with a passport, with a visa, but overstayers. And it's estimated that about 42% of undocumented illegal immigrants here are visa overstayers. They came here with either a student visa, work permit, companions to other, spouses that had a executive or whatever. I mean, there are, like I said, hundreds of, Those work permits, for instance, seasonal, like the ones for construction or the ones for tourist service industry, like the ones they get in Branson. It's a 9-month permit, and they had to go back to the country of origin and reapply. And those permits are only, they give them permission to work. They are not eligible for unemployment benefits, for some sort, nothing like that. And of course, DACA, they are not eligible for any government assistance or anything like that, okay? Not food stamps, not welfare, nothing. Not unemployment, just that. And the same with so many other permits. So anyway, with those, then they cannot bring their spouses or children with them without work permit, okay? There are others, like executives and so forth, that they can bring. And then they have a companion, Social Security card and so forth. And some of them are overstayers, okay? And so to finish, because the wall is there, as you know, but to finish that, it's not going to make any much difference as far as illegal immigration. And certainly not about the drugs, because the drugs, those people have a larger budget than the whole country of Mexico, okay? They use airplanes, they use ships, they use whatever. They don't use illegal aliens crossing, as they call them. So anyway, And then, and so what, you heard what, I mean, it's hard to keep up with our president, but anyway, what he just said about these people, these caravans of people coming from Central America, and they want to take advantage of DACA. He stopped DACA. And DACA was for, if they were eligible, you had to be, one of the eligibility is to be here before 2017. I mean 2007. 207, okay? So you had to be here that or before that. I have one of the volunteers with Grupo Latinoamericano. She wasn't eligible because she was here 2 months after that. She's been here that long, but she was 2 months. So she's going to graduate from high school in May, and she's going back to Mexico because she won't be able to go to college. So she's not going to stay there here, you know. College is for free in Mexico, so, you know. So anyway, so that's the situation with DACA people. So to say that these people want to take advantage of DACA, no, it stopped, and you stopped it. But even when was, you know, when it was issued, you had lived here, be brought here before that date, not after.
I have a question. Is it still the law that anybody born in the United States is a citizen?
Yes, it's in the Constitution.
Okay. So, basically, if they tried to send the parents back and somebody was willing to let them live with them, then they could stay? They wouldn't send the children back?
No, because they're citizens.
As long as they're
You know,
citizens?
usually I have a good relationship with ICE here, you know. And for that situation, they just say, you can leave them here or you can take them with you. They're free to stay here or take them with you, you know. And of course, they're not going to leave them here. So, of course, they take them. So, yeah, if they're born here,
That was the,
yeah, they're citizens.
yeah.
But, and they can apply for the parents, about this anchor baby, things that they say.
Yeah.
Yes, they can apply for the parents, but when they are older than 21. You had to be 21.
21.
And if the parents came here undocumented, they had to go back to the country of origin and wait there, because they're going to be, you know, they're going to give them like a waiver, and it could be years still. So after 21 years, and they wait years, I mean, who wants to do that? By the time the parents are elderly and, you know.
Right.
So anyway, and that's, of course, if you qualify, you, the one who is petitioning, and the petitioner, as far as income and as far as your background, you know, your record. For instance, a lady came to me, I mean, I was at a restaurant and she recognized me and came to, and she's an American, you know, and I mean, an American gringo, okay, not citizen like me. Okay, so so she came and she said, you know, I don't know what to do. I've been married to my husband. He came here undocumented. We have 5 children. We've been married for 10 years. I haven't been able to apply for him. I'm not eligible. And I said, why? Because of my income. No, she was a waitress. She didn't have the income to prove that they are not going to be a burden. Okay? And it doesn't matter how much the one you are applying for, how much they make, because he make good money in construction. That doesn't count. It's only your income that counts. And so, you know, and the children were American citizens because they were born here. She is, you know, by birth and by everything an American, but still couldn't. She could apply, but it was denied because of her income. And then, when that happens, then you find a sponsor, someone who'd be responsible, who's going to sign affidavits that you're going to be, you know, so forth. And then I said, so why don't you find, you know, with your relatives or whatever sponsor that would want? He said, most of my relatives are on welfare. You know, she couldn't find anybody to sign for her. It was that kind of background that she had, you know. So So anyway, so it's, even if you are eligible and so forth, it's not guaranteed that you're gonna get it. It's not guaranteed, you know, so, but you are eligible to apply. So that's the situation with those. You had another question? Sorry?
Most of those that are applying or that are in the DACA situation, they're not students, are they? Isn't it? Some of them are, but a lot of them are just people that are living here and earning money themselves.
Right.
Taking up residence.
And I have the numbers for who, how many are in college and how many are working. I have the numbers here. Because when he was granted, you had to be from 15 years old to 30. And so many of those who were here for 20 years or whatever, who were brought as children, and now they are 30 or 25 or 28 or whatever, and they couldn't go to college because they were working. And they already, in fact, they already have families, some of them. We didn't get any of those. Just about all of them that we fill out the forms were in high school. But there are some of those, you know, because it was up to 30. So those people were not in high school or in college. They were 30. They were before. They were graduated. You had to, you know, prove that you graduated from high school. So they graduated from high school or whatever, but they were not in college. And so those people are working. And they're still eligible because it was a deferred action. Deferred action is just that they will be protected from deportation. That's all. If they did something against the law, other than, you know, being brought here as children, against the law, of course, they would be deported. Okay?
Those that were deported, like the man who had a family and all, and been here for years and years.
He had just
Did
been.
they even give him a chance to apply for citizenship or anything? Or
Yeah, well, you don't apply for citizenship. Again, please understand that. You don't apply for citizenship when you're undocumented. You apply for legal residency or some kind of permit. But anyway, in that case, he had just gone over when that came about, you know, the order. He was already over 30. He had been here most of his life, but he was over 30, so he didn't qualify.
That's wrong.
Well, that's immigration reform for things that are wrong like that, who just don't make sense.
Did that have anything to do with the state we live in too?
Sometimes, I mean, if you live in, for instance, in Arizona with people like that, or in Kansas with this guy and all that, sometimes in some states it's just, they go after you, you know, they enforce this more than others. Depending on the governor, of course, and in some places on the sheriff, like, you know, in Arizona, but yeah. So,
Well, the reason I'm interested is my family was involved in a situation like this during World War II. My brother was in high school, close to 18 years old, and he got a notification from Canada to report to the draft board because when he was born in Canada, because my father had gone there for work for 2 years. And Dad was a naturalized citizen of the U.S., even though he was a Canadian by birth. So when they came into the States with my brother as a baby, everything all these years was assumed because he was born of a naturalized citizen, that there was nothing illegal. But at his age of 18, or nearly 18, there weren't any records of it coming into the United States because there had been a fire at the boat docks and all the records were destroyed. So he was an illegal
yeah.
citizen. And so he had to go through going up to Canada and to Parliament and everything before he graduated. And then after he graduated, we had to be there a month for him to go ahead and get everything settled. So, you know, it's really a rigmarole.
Yeah.
when everything is illegal, all those years, 18 years.
Right. And then it's very unfortunate, not only that, regular citizens don't know much about that, but that our own president, he doesn't know much about, not much anything, but certainly immigration. But he says, I think the situation in Honduras, how it is horrible and all that. And I don't have time to tell you why the background of that, okay? Or in El Salvador, like he said, and we got all these Mara Salvatruchas, the M13 gangs, from El Salvador coming here. The M13 gangs, they were started and founded in California, in Los Angeles. Those little boys that came here after what happened in El Salvador, and when they came here, they had done horrible things to them, because the parents came here, they left the children there. And so anyway, so M13 is not, they were Salvadorans, but didn't start there. So they're not coming for it. So, and the same with Honduras. And this is what he just said. Mexico is doing very little, if not nothing with capitals, at stopping people from flowing into Mexico through their southern borders and then to the United States. So it's not only what we're doing here. Now you're going to tell Mexico what to do with people who come into their country.
That's right.
So because of that, I'm going to stop DACA and NAFTA and everything, because Mexico is not doing everything to let them know. And maybe what Mexico should do, we might do more, because I do a lot, and then, because I hear this so many times, well, Mexico do the same with the Central Americans, but it's because of bilateral agreements with the United States to stop, But now he said they're not doing nothing, or they're not doing anything to stop them. That doesn't make sense. It's like when Jewish people were fleeing Germany, and to say other countries, you're not doing, and for Hitler to say, you're not doing anything to stop, this that is fleeing or whatever, or blaming, I don't know, Holland or any other country, they're not doing anything. Germans should be doing something to not let them leave, right? Or not let them into their country. Or the United States, they say that to Germany, you're not doing anything to stop all the Jewish people, okay, for fleeing. Does that make sense? For FDR to say that to Germany, you're not doing anything, okay, for letting these people, So anyway, things like that. But nothing makes sense anymore. But maybe Mexico should say, when you do something about all the weapons coming into Mexico from your arm dealers and all that, maybe we'll do something about people who want to go to your country to work. You're not doing anything, and you have a lot more power. You have a lot, resources. You're the richest country in the world, and you cannot stop that. And who's getting killed? We Mexicans are getting killed among themselves, or they're killing our soldiers, they're killing our policemen, they're killing our legislators, our journalists, with your weapons. So if you do, how about if we do this agreement? You stop the weapons. Anybody at the border, they have all those arm dealers and shows or whatever they call it. And all you have to do is just buy them. Yeah. So anyway, it's that situation with immigration, with DACA.
What's your view of what's probably going to happen with the sanctuary cities, with Trump threatening to withhold federal funds? Do you think they'll be
Some of them would. California is richer than a lot of countries, so they might not need much, But if they will do it with Mississippi or which they don't have that problem. But if it were, so I think it would depend on the states and the governor whether they say do whatever, because California, okay, so we're not going to get certain federal money. Some they have to because they have to, but we're not going to get some federal money. But then, if we do that, and then just about 199% of the workforce in agriculture, which is the biggest, in California, they will leave, and who's going to work? Who's going to work in those industries, which is, agribusiness is billions of dollars, So, right, they need the workforce, of course.
Any chance in November to get acquainted with some of the people from the sanctuary churches and cities in California? And with the threat of shutting some of those down, they were working with other means
Yeah.
to still provide sanctuary, but not have the federal government come down around their ears. So they were working, they were already figuring out other ways around this. It's unfortunate they had to spend their time doing this.
And a sanctuary is not that we're not going to let you, take any of these immigrants. No, sanctuary, the way it works is that we're not going to give you the names. That's all. That's all. They're not going to keep them in, the capital or the churches. Sometimes they keep some families. I mean, we have kept families in our office, not because of this reason. ICE called us. We have 20 people here who were driving through, and they stopped the driver. It was a van with 20 people and even children. And so they processed them, and the ones who had some issues, they kept them, they were going to deport and so forth. But all these people, and they don't have any money because they already paid the smuggler, to bring them here, and they don't have any money. They were going to Minnesota. And we can leave them. We can leave them out here, outside. It's in Stratford, and it's out in the highway. Their office, ICE office. So, you wanna come and pick them up? You wanna do something with them? And they brought them to our office, and we kept them there for weeks until their relatives sent money and all that. They had, of course, an order to go before a judge, immigration judge and all that. Not that they let them free, okay? Let them go free. They had to do that, but so sometimes we think about giving sanctuary that we're gonna keep them in our homes or churches or offices or whatever. No, it's just if they are arrested for a not arrested, but for traffic violation or stuff like that, we're not going to give that name to ICE, because sometimes that happens here, No, it's not the system, but some people do that. Some police officers do that, okay, and they call immigration and so forth. But that's what it's. But when it's ordered, no, you cannot give those names unless, of course, they committed a crime or something like that. Of course, but that's sanctuary, okay.
I have a question, it's a little off the subject, but has there ever been a movement that, like, any immigrant that served in our military would be given special treatment to their citizenship after, say, they had served there
Yeah.
2 or 3 years?
They cannot serve if they're undocumented. They cannot serve.
They cannot serve?
No, but they can serve if they're here to obtain citizenship. But if you're undocumented, you cannot serve in the military. No, you're not eligible for that. You have to have a Social Security card.
Right.
And a lot of people work with fake Social Security cards, And Social Security Administration, they take their taxes, their money. But if they want to apply for certain services or anything, then they say, no, this is not kosher.
It looks like there ought to be some program where the undocumented person can come in and agree to go into the military service.
Yeah, but
and become a legal
No.
resident.
no. And when there's the draft, but like with Vietnam, if you were here with some kind of permit or with a residency, you were drafted. You were not an American citizen. They were drafted. They served, and I know many of them who served in Vietnam, and they were not even American citizens.
Well, it looks like if they're willing to.
So if there's a draft, then they are drafted, but
put
not
their life on the
but not
line,
undocumented.
Serve our country, they
Yeah.
should be giving some sort of a right to citizenship. Okay.
Thank you
You're welcome.
for for doing this. The next session is going to start in probably like 10-15 minutes. This room is going to be preventing gun violence, and we're going to have some be taking to talk about the movement that's going on and what we can all do to better that. And then right next door in the Arabian is going to be climate change and the environment of the Ozarks. So that's going to be what's proceeding after this. But thank you all for coming to the DACA immigration panel. Thank you again.
You're welcome. So the U.S. And I'm not even dancing. Wait until Cinco de Mayo when I'll be dancing. Then you can. And you can get all this information from U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services. I mean, how many are working? How many are in college? How many were not granted the permission? They applied, but not. They have all those numbers, all those countries, and how many from each state, and so forth. So, I mean, it's just a matter of, fun. Look for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.